Today we're going to have a session on sextortion. We learn about what the police can do and the powers they have for investigation, and if sextortion is covered in Kenyan laws at all. So, welcome. Welcome. My name is Angela Minayo. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, and I work as a Digital Rights and Policy Programs Officer at Article 19 Eastern Africa. The first question. You meet someone on a dating app and then they share some intimate photos, and now they're threatening to share them with your friends and family. What can you do? What legal steps can you take to protect yourself? So first of all, I say we don't have an explicit sextortion law, but we can imply that some parts of the penal code. The penal code is the legal statute that has most of the criminal offenses in Kenya. Section 299 talks about demanding property by written threats, and so these threats that you've been given can be inferred under that section. And then the police will use the powers for investigation under the Kenya Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act to conduct further investigations, and you'll be able to build a case. So you first have to report to the police, and then the police will take it up from there. Question 2. Your colleague is making advances, you reject, and then they somehow manage to get a hold of your photos, and they're threatening to send them to your boss unless you agree to their demands. So this is a classic case of sextortion. And again, we will rely on Section 299 of the Penal Code, but also the Sexual Offences Act, because this will amount to harassment at the workplace. Question 3. My 15-year-old daughter shared intimate photos with someone she thought was a schoolmate. This person is not threatening to post these photos online, and unless she gives them money. We have been able to establish it's a 40-year-old man. What are the legal protections for minors in Kenya? So we have the Children's Act 2022. We also have the Sexual Offences Act, which makes it a crime to share intimate photos of children. It's written as child pornography, and publication of such child pornography is also a crime. Again, the police will still have to use their investigative powers under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, given the electronic nature of the evidence and even getting the identity of the perpetrator so that they can be charged in court. Question 4. I received a message from someone who claims to have hacked my social media accounts and obtained private photos. They're demanding money to delete the photos and not share them publicly. How should I handle the situation legally in Kenya? I'll answer that first because question 4 has 2 parts. So first of all, hacking your social media accounts is a crime under Section 14 of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act. It is written as unauthorized access to a computer system. And then when that information is used to commit another crime, that crime is now under Section 15 of the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act. So those are 2 charges or 2 offenses. So again, the police will have to use their investigative powers to get the identity and the evidence. How should I handle the situation? I've answered that. My second question is, what role internet service providers and specifically social media platforms play in preventing and addressing sextortion in Kenya? First of all, these are 2 different people. An internet service provider is like Safaricom, while a social media platform is like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. So the social media platform gives people a chance to connect, while the internet service provider mostly just connects you to the internet or gives you telecommunication services. So those are 2 different people, but they play different roles in sextortion claims. For instance, an internet service provider, once served with a court order, can give the identity or the traffic data of the perpetrator and therefore help the police in the investigations. Social media platforms have a very big role to play here because they're the ones who host the platform. So they're supposed to conduct content moderation, they're supposed to hear complaints from users and remove content or any other measure that is appropriate to give the user a redress. Number 5, I applied for a job online, and during the interview process, I was asked to share personal and intimate photos as part of the background check. Now the person is using these photos to blackmail me for money. What legal resource do I have? What policy changes or legal reforms will better address the issue of sextortion in Kenya? So first of all, it is very strange that you're asked to give your personal and intimate photos as part of a job interview, first of all. So that is very anti-human rights practices, anti-labor practices. Secondly, even if such information is processed by your employer is obligated under the data protection laws of Kenya to ensure that that data is not mishandled or shared with the wrong people. Thirdly, it is still an extortion because they're asking you to give them money in order to delete, and therefore it will still fall under the section 299 of the penal code. Lastly, it is important to know that as a data subject, that is, someone was given their data to be processed, you have a right to ask for that deletion without any blackmail. It is your right as a data subject to say, I have revoked my consent, I don't want you to process that data anymore. Thank you so much for enjoying this session. We'll be back to speak more about sextortion.